in the bells of the bigger rocket motors, the fuel, which is cryogenic, hydrogen and oxygen, and I forget which one they pump through the bell itself, whether it's the cryogenic hydrogen or the cryogenic oxygen. I'm pretty sure it's the hydrogen. And that flows through the bell, sucking up the heat, which preheats the fuel so that it's going to burn nicer anyway. And then it comes out and is mixed. I forget whether it's considered hypergolic, which is just blows up as soon as it hits oxygen.
Part oxygen, one part hydrogen.
Something like that.
Yep.
Makes water.
Sounds like we both know our stuff.
So, you know, the LOX engines are more environmentally friendly than the
Reverse that, right?
anhydrous ammonia.
Hydrogen.
But a lot of the ICBMs used anhydrous ammonia.
Whatever the hell that is.
It's used as a refrigerant in heavy food production,
Okay.
rocket motors, and it's used to produce a wide range of chemicals.
Okay. In relation to
Your
Freon?
brother right behind you.
Only in that it has characteristics that lend itself to being used in refrigeration systems.
Right. The application similar.
Well, one of the applications. Freon is one of the refrigerant gases, which there's a whole list of them because they've been trying to figure out how to make a gas that is really good in refrigeration that doesn't have a whole bunch of environmental and safety drawbacks, and it's kind of hard to do that.
There's propane fridges too. I mean, I'm aware of that. But Freon's used way more often.
Well, a lot of stuff has been made illegal because it messes up the ozone.
Right.
And then they come out with a new gas and figure out new problems that it causes, because anything that's good as a refrigerant just is problematic in its chemistry.
Right. Is the search for absolute zero still going on out there?
There's some really interesting experiments where they say they get really close and that weird shit happens. There's some stuff that gets down to discussions about supercriticality. This is a really interesting state where it's neither a liquid nor a gas. CO2 actually can be made into a supercritical liquid really easily. In fact, supercritical CO2 is being used to extract cannabis oil.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And it comes out different than the other extractions. Each type of extraction tends to favor some of the components over other components.
Okay, so supercriticality has degrees. Right?
Well, supercriticality is the state of a substance when it's neither liquid nor gas.
Right.
CO2 has a supercriticality which is easily achievable by an amateur in a garage and happens to be a really strong solvent that evaporates away with no residue, which is why the cannabis industry likes it, because you can put, say, an eighth of weed in a little, home garage version of a supercritical CO2 extractor, and you put in some dry ice, you bolt the whole thing all together, and when it pumps into your receiver, and you release the CO2 or pump it back into compression, then what happens is all the CO2 will leave the resin oil, and all you have left is just resin oil. Unlike some of these like lighter fluids and things that people use, you don't know if there's contaminants in there that are going to stay behind in the resin. But you do want to use food grade CO2.
Well, you never don't want to breathe too much of that.
Every soda fountain in every restaurant that produces their own soda pop has food grade CO2, so it's not a problem. And in fact, I think it's Starbucks that started making nitrogen infused coffee.
All right.
And if I understand correctly, a lot of their coffee shops actually have the nitrogen producing machine in the coffee house. So they suck out atmospheric air and separate it out, and the machine gives you the nitrogen, and you can pump that into your soda or your coffee.
Of course, I wanted to ask you who your angel investor was, whether his name was Howard.
I missed
Mr. Schultz
I
doesn't
missed
have
everything you
enough money
just
for a
asked
3D
me.
printer. Mr. Schultz isn't providing the funding for this. Are you kidding me? Why not?
No, you're not speaking clearly, and I didn't understand you.
Sounds to me like Starbucks is the reason for the season.
Oh, Schultz, you were talking about Schultz.
Don't remember somewhere. I'm talking about.
Ridiculous conversation. So
No, it's not. He's the investor on this project. You know it. Call me stupid. Very much.
Yeah, you did.
I was doing it out there somewhere. This kind of stuff.
No, we were talking about gases and supercriticality,
Starbucks,
and I mentioned
another level.
the nitrogen that's being produced by Starbucks, and you went off on Howard Schultz or whatever his name is.
Somebody's got to have that money. And lots
No,
of
his
places
company's
all
pretty
around
good
the world.
for the most part. He got into a controversy a while back and covered that up in the right way. Just kind of quit dealing with it.
He has a lot of hot baristas. Yeah, some good-looking ones too.
And his company was one of the first in the nation to be really nice to the homeless for quite a while until COVID came along.
I used to get free wire there sometimes.
He was basically letting them use the bathroom as public government, or excuse me, company policy. And he had no requirement to do that. And really, the state and local governments should, maintain good public bathrooms for everybody, whether they have money or not, because it's just good health policy. Look at what happened to San Francisco. They're still cleaning up human poop.
So New York. Right here.
And there's one a Greyhound station in California that was telling me they're mad because the homeless guys are pooping on their front porch,
Dropping deuces.
but then the Greyhound won't let them use the regular bathroom, and there's no public bathrooms available. So the homeless in that particular area are protesting by pooping right in front of the door.
Very little choice. You gotta do something. You can poop in an alley, you can poop by a dumpster, you can poop in a park. Why not poop by the Greyhound stand?
Well, it shouldn't be the requirement of public businesses that don't serve food to have bathrooms.
Not a
Right.
requirement, but it's
For
nice
the
to know
public.
there's a place to poop.
Now, Greyhound wouldn't have to deal with it if the local parks commissioners would leave the bathrooms open and maintain the employment it takes to keep them clean.
Amen, brother.
And the police would ticket homeless people not for being homeless, but for when they make a mess. If they were doing that, then all the homeless would really have to do is keep their shit clean, not break the law, and they get what they need to keep going.
Right.
But no, they have this mutually adversarial policy based on outdated, ideas of whether people are working makes them good people or not, but while not providing jobs and not allowing people to run their own businesses. I
believe
knew
in social
there was a
safety
period of
net.
time in Seattle where anybody that wanted to lay out a little strip of cloth and put some homemade jewelry on it could do that, and at least that was fairly honest. But they weren't allowed to do that, so what are they going to do?
Something else.
A leader leads. It doesn't, follow you around and punish you for everything you do because you're not paying him. which is what happened with Nicholsville.
Yes, I was there during that moment. That moment in time. The old Nicholsville, near South Park.
It was a mobile tent city. And I wish my eyes were
I went
better.
around for a few times. I think the last place was right by the Super.
Oh, 10 minutes.